Hi, it's Dr. Lisa. Thank you so much for purchasing Get Lit on our special book launch offer day. I want to take the time to give you some added bonus points and walk you through the book so that you get the most out of your time. I know that everybody has busy, crazy schedules, and when I wrote the book, I took that into consideration. One of the things you'll find most useful is that you could literally pick it up at almost any page and get something that's worth sharing or that may really be relevant to you and your current situation right now. When you open the book, there'll be an index and you can find any particular body section points, including thyroid, adrenals, basic things such as hydration that may pertain to some of the symptoms you may or may not be experiencing right now. For example, if you've always wondered, hey, I feel like I have a slow metabolism, I think my thyroid's off, but I just don't know. Every time I get my labs checked, they're normal. Go ahead and open up to the thyroid part of the book and just read that section. It's just a couple of paragraphs, but you're going to get some added tips, potentially some labs to ask your doctor to check, supplements that may really make a difference. And then you'll be able to see if that really is what's going on with you, that those symptoms match with what we talk about in the book. Additionally, there may be some added things like the section on the C-spine. Most of you haven't thought or heard about what happens if your neck is out of alignment. We think about chiropractic and we get nervous, it's cracking, it's risky. I present in here a cutting edge technique that most people still don't know about, where your neck is measured within 1/100th of a degree, and specific chiropractors can go in and adjust using a sound wave. In the back of the book, there's an appendix. You can find in your area a location where there may be an upper cervical chiropractor who can bring these phenomenal benefits into your own life and health. Make sure you read the section first, see if the symptoms pertain to what you have going on, and then go ahead and pursue treatment and diagnosis. Additionally, things like detoxification, the gut, most people need help in those areas. I would say about 90% of the patients that I see, and I've been in practice for 15 to 20 years already, seeing over 6,000 patients right now in my practice, and almost every single one has had to do some work to get their gut healthy. When your gut's healthy, there's some pretty cool things that happen. For example, there was a study that they looked at patients who ate the exact same amount of food, and they were two women side by side, the same height, the same weight, no difference in their medical diagnoses, but they had different bacteria balances in their gut, which most people do. And one person extracted almost double the calories from the same food content as the person who had a healthy gut. So the patient with the unhealthy leaky gut extracted more calories, so you could eat the exact same thing and gain more weight. Super interesting tidbit, but just really helps you to understand the importance of both diagnosing and treating a gut that may not be optimally healthy. All of those sections are in the body portion of the book. When you open the book, you'll see I've tried to make it super simple in dividing it into 3 sections. There's body, something called fuel, and something called mind. So the body piece is what I've touched on so far. You're going to go through some of the basic things that pretty much everyone needs to pay attention to, which is hydration, exercise, supplements that anyone should take, and then through the question and answer section, adrenals, thyroid, hormones, the gut, the liver, you can find what pertains the most to you. And I've done it in a way where we've compared cases of athletes who are trying to increase their performance and how you can utilize the same thing just to make yourself feel better every day as well. In the fuel part, many of you have already tried things like the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. What I did in this book was take a lot of my colleagues' ideas, a lot of my colleagues and friends and research, and try to put it in a very simple manual and format. I personally do not like to cook. I'm not a great cook. I like to pretend that I can cook. My kids would argue with you that I cannot. But if you would just take a peek, what I've done is made that as simple as possible as well. So when you get into the fuel section, you're going to have 3 choices. First, you'll understand the elimination diet, where we pull out the most inflammatory foods. And I made them make sense and be very easy in the Ignite portion in the back as dim foods versus lit foods. So you'll see, and this is going to be on page 139, there's a really simple diagram where you have the lit foods and you have dim foods. The lit foods are the foods that you want to add as many times as possible per day into your diet. They're more packed with antioxidants. They give you extra energy. They're sort of more bang for your buck. The dim foods are the foods you already know you should stay away from. Sometimes it's difficult, but things like sugar and gluten and dairy. There is one food on this dim list that most people actually feel potentially bad, but potentially good, which is eggs. So you want to be careful with eggs. That's the only caution I will say in the dim versus lit section. A lot of people do have an allergic reaction to eggs and they don't even know it until they remove it from their diet for a couple of weeks and then reintroduce it. The elimination section through the fuel part of the book will go in and explain that to you in more detail as you read through. The ketogenic diet is explained in detail. It is not for everybody. So on purpose, I've given patients options. So when you get to the program in the back, the Ignite program, you're going to have 3 levels that you can choose from. So if you go to page 146, on page 146, you can choose low carb, very low carb, or keto. And instead of having you go through and calculate detailed macronutrient composition, so that means taking out an app, which by all means you can do, and I do recommend at the beginning, while you're tracking carbohydrates, that you at least become aware of the daily carbohydrates you take in. But you don't have to be tracking your proteins and fats down to every single gram. Instead, what I did was I broke it down so that your servings are recommended based on which level that you choose. So let's say you just got the book because you want to regain control of your life and you're feeling pretty out of control. It's holiday time or it's just now January and you just want to have something helpful to get started. Well, that patient or that person, you're probably going to want to choose the one where the cutoff is low carb, the cutoff is 75 grams of carbohydrates. Most likely you're already currently eating more like 150 to 200, and just jumping down here is going to be tough. So we want to take you and meet you where you are. If you're somebody who's done keto and you've done well and you just want to pick it back up again, well then pick the keto option where you're going to keep your carbs below 25 grams. You'll see that the fats and the proteins are broken down into servings and the serving sizes are listed and easy to follow. You're going to have a grocery shopping list that you'll know exactly how many macros are in each serving. When you get going in the very back, there's a tracker. So this is page 172 and 173. And you can circle, so this patient on this page on 173 has chosen to do a ketogenic diet. In the book, when you circle the ketogenic diet, you know that you have to get in between 3 and 5 servings of protein and between 8 and 13 servings of fat. That's going to be your goal, along with a restricted carbohydrate intake of less than 25 grams. You just have to do check marks. So much more simple than actually tracking every macro that you eat and measuring things. I hope that you appreciate this when you go through it because it did take a lot of calculating. I was combining multiple different recommendations to try to simplify it for our everyday lives where we are busy and we don't want to be counting things. Same thing goes for the actual meal plan. What we did was my great colleague and friend, Charlotte Hardwick, who's a nutritionist, we decided that we were going to only give patients a few options. There's no fancy recipes in here. What you'll find is on page 148, a pretty cutting edge how to build a meal recommendation where you just literally choose a base, choose a protein, choose a veggie, choose a fat, and choose a lit food. Many restaurants now offer this option where you can grab from each section, and we've given you the way to do it right at home. So you can open your fridge if you have chicken or steak, grass-fed, free range. Just grab that, decide what you're in the mood for, and then all you have to do is pick how to choose it. Well, the protein, we've given you 4 options: bake, saute, grill, or poach. You just choose which one you want and you're off. The bases, we've given you options, everything from in the morning, coffee or tea, along with shake options, all the way to lunch and dinner, bone broth, cauliflower rice, greens, spaghetti squash, zucchini noodles, plenty of options. You can mix this up. And for those patients that are doing more of the low carb, they have 75 grams. They may even want to choose things like a little bit of a sweet potato or even some quinoa or rice. So you'll find that this is one of the easiest, most cutting edge meal planning options that are out there and available for patients doing a ketogenic diet or a low carb diet that are out there. And that was my goal. I hope you appreciate that. Please reach out with questions about it if you have them. Now, the end section, which is one of the most exciting part, is about your mind. So you're going to find in this book multiple tools on how you can become more present and aware of your current mindset. So on page 163 is something called the LIT scale. So I would love for all of you to go ahead and get your book, open up to this page, and follow through with me, because this is probably one of the most important things that's in the book. What you're going to do is look across the top. There's different categories: thought patterns, relationships, and self-care. Underneath are various thought patterns, relationships, how you view yourself. For example, if you go under the column marked dim, this would be a patient who is just getting started wanting to change. Somebody who maybe still compares themselves a lot to others. If you find yourself thinking, well, if she can do it, I don't know that I can, a lot of self-doubt still going on, then you might say, well, most of my thoughts are in the dim category. And, my relationships, they're sort of, I let others have the upper hand. I'm pretty wishy-washy or indecisive. That keeps you in the dim level for most everything. You will find that many times you have 2 different categories, so it's not going to be totally clear which category you're in. Just pick the one that you have the most check marks when you go through this list. At the end of the column, there's something called affirmations. What I want you to do is, seeing this sentence here, every day say this sentence, and we do have some useful tools that I'll mention at the end in just a minute. But you can say these right when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed. And these affirmations are positive comments that will help you get the energy and the mindset to move up the LIT scale. So I hope you've enjoyed kind of running through the book with me. Again, if you have questions or comments, please post or reach out to us. So in closing, I want to show you about the Ignite program, which is our kit that we've developed to help make the Get Lit experience even more impactful in your life. For the affirmation that we just talked about, I have created my first product. They are drops infused with light, different energy frequencies, methylated B12, and some essential oils. You put them under your tongue as you say your affirmation, and the goal is that it will activate your mitochondria and help you go up the LIT scale faster. We have a paleo, vegan, gluten-free shake. This shake is got amazing macros in that there's only about 5 grams of carbs and a great amount of protein, and there's different flavor options. An oil that is tasteless, that is a better form of coconut oil called C8 and C10 that will cut cravings, and it's able to be added easily to shakes, coffees, teas. Exogenous ketones, which you can drink almost like having a Gatorade, extra energy but without the sugar. These are straight ketones that will cut your cravings as well, help your mental focus, and allow you to follow your program and transform that much easier. And then finally, a packet of Epsom salt, one of my favorite mind hacks that you'll read about in the book. Thanks again for your time and your investment in the book. I'm so thrilled to have you as part of our team, and I'm looking forward to having you get lit.